All new at 10, scientists say it's a matter of when, not if, there will be a major earthquake in the new Madrid seismic zones.
Beneath the still and deceptively calm landscape of the central United States, a startling discovery has recently ignited deep concern among geologists and seismic experts. A series of new cracks has emerged under the new Madrid Fault Zone, a vast and historically volatile seismic region that snakes beneath parts of Missouri, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Illinois. This alarming geological development has triggered a rare red alert from seismic monitoring agencies, a warning level not taken lightly. It marks an urgent pivot in the scientific community's long-held suspicions about the potential reawakening of a fault line that once unleashed some of the most powerful earthquakes in American history. Before we start, please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more updates. The new Madrid Fault Zone is not just any ordinary fracture in the Earth's crust. It is an ancient and enigmatic scar in the North American plate, a relic of failed continental rifting from hundreds of millions of years ago. Despite its distance from the tectonic plate boundaries that traditionally dominate seismic activity, this region has repeatedly demonstrated its capacity to deliver catastrophic earthquakes. In the winter months of 1811 and 1812, a series of massive tremors, some estimated to be near magnitude 8.0, rattled the region with ferocity, causing the Mississippi River to flow backward temporarily and reshaping entire landscapes. Since then, the fault has been relatively quiet, though far from dormant. Now, with the appearance of deep jagged cracks beneath the Earth's surface, detected using a combination of satellite imaging, ground-penetrating radar, and updated seismic tomography, experts are sounding alarms that the system may be entering a new phase of strain accumulation. The red alert is not merely symbolic. It is a scientific classification that indicates measurable geophysical anomalies associated with heightened earthquake risk. In this case, the cracks suggest that stress is being unevenly distributed along the fault lines, possibly heralding the early stages of tectonic adjustment. What makes this recent finding especially concerning is the nature and orientation of the fractures. Unlike surface-level fissures caused by erosion or superficial movement, these cracks were identified within deep substrata, some kilometers below the surface. They represent potential planes of slippage, zones where strain is localizing and pressure is building. These deep cracks often act as conduits for further fault slip and rupture, particularly when they intersect with existing lines of weakness in the bedrock. While the new Madrid seismic zone has always been a known entity to those monitoring the hidden dynamics of the continental interior, it is often overshadowed by more conspicuous fault systems like the San Andreas in California. However, the subsurface activity occurring in this zone is significantly more unpredictable. The bedrock in the central United States is older, colder, and more brittle, allowing seismic waves to travel much farther than in the tectonically youthful and fractured rocks of the West Coast. An earthquake in this region has the potential to be felt over thousands of miles, affecting areas far beyond the epicenter. The detection of these cracks points to a deeper mystery as well. Geologists have long debated whether the new Madrid Fault Zone remains active in a geologically significant sense, or whether the seismic events of the 1800s were anomalies in an otherwise stable system. This new development provides the most compelling evidence in decades that the fault is far from dormant. It suggests that there is a slow, inexorable buildup of tectonic strain occurring out of public view and largely out of the range of traditional seismometers. The implications are enormous, especially when considering the modern infrastructure and dense populations that now occupy the region. Unlike in the 1800s, today's Mississippi River Valley and surrounding regions host major urban centers like St. Louis and Memphis, along with sprawling suburban and industrial developments. Bridges, pipelines, nuclear facilities, highways, and levees crisscross the zone, most of which were not constructed with severe earthquakes in mind. The revelation of these subsurface cracks underlines a grim reality. Much of the central U.S. is ill-prepared for the seismic event that such geological changes could presage. Further analysis of the cracks has revealed worrying patterns in strain distribution. High-resolution models developed using satellite interferometry and LiDAR technology show that the fractures are aligned along the same structural trend as the major fault segments responsible for past earthquakes in the region. This correlation suggests a continuity of tectonic stress transfer, a scenario in which newly formed cracks could act as triggers or stress concentrators, encouraging slippage along older, dormant faults. Essentially, the system is waking up, but it is not yet clear whether the resulting quake will be minor or monumental. Another disquieting aspect of this finding is the increased presence of microseismic activity in the days and weeks leading up to the crack detection. Swarms of tiny earthquakes, most too small to be felt but measurable by sensitive instruments, have become more frequent. While microquakes are common in fault zones and do not always portend larger events, their clustering near the newly identified fractures suggests a direct connection. They may represent the audible ticking of a geologic clock winding down to zero. Seismologists have also noted shifts in underground fluid dynamics in the region. Changes in the movement of groundwater, increases in radon gas emissions, and the unexpected behavior of aquifers could all be tied to tectonic pressures building deep below. These phenomena, while subtle, are consistent with the lead-up to seismic events in other regions of the world. In combination with the cracks and microquakes, they paint a picture of a system that is gradually destabilizing. The red alert, therefore, serves as more than just a technical designation. It is a call to awareness, if not immediate action. It reminds both scientists and the public that Earth's internal processes are ceaseless and often silent until they are not. And in the case of the new Madrid Fault Zone, that silence could be broken by a seismic roar capable of reshaping an entire swath of the country. Historically, preparedness for earthquakes in the central United States has been uneven. The general public often underestimates the risk, lulled by long periods of apparent quiescence. But the newly discovered cracks challenge this complacency. They force a re-examination of how communities, governments, and industries approach disaster readiness in a region not typically associated with high seismic threat. Emergency management agencies are now revisiting evacuation plans, building codes, and risk communication strategies in light of the new data. Moreover, the economic implications of a major seismic event in this region would be staggering. The Mississippi River is a vital artery for agricultural and industrial transport. Disruption to this corridor would reverberate nationally. Similarly, the power grid, which includes several key transmission lines crossing the fault zone, could suffer crippling outages. Financial hubs in St. Louis and Nashville would feel the quake's echo in balance sheets, insurance claims, and interrupted commerce. Insurance companies in particular are watching this development closely. Earthquake insurance in the region has traditionally seen low uptake due to perceived low risk. That perception may now shift. The red alert status could influence underwriting decisions, premiums, and policyholder behavior for years to come. It also raises questions about federal readiness and the potential need for government-backed reinsurance programs, similar to those used in hurricane-prone coastal regions. From a scientific standpoint, the appearance of the cracks opens new avenues of research. Geologists and geophysicists are deploying additional monitoring stations throughout the region, hoping to map the full extent of the subsurface anomalies. Some are exploring whether deep injection wells or other forms of anthropogenic activity might have exacerbated natural tectonic movements. While there is no direct evidence linking human actions to the cracks observed, the timing and location raise valid questions that must be thoroughly investigated. One emerging hypothesis is that the new Madrid zone is part of a broader network of intracontinental stress fields that have been slowly shifting for centuries. The cracks may represent localized expressions of a continental scale adjustment process, driven by the slow motion of tectonic plates and variations in mantle flow deep beneath North America. If true, this would suggest that the new Madrid Fault Zone is not merely a reactivated rift, but a living component of a larger dynamic system, one that is still actively reshaping the continent's interior. This discovery has also catalyzed discussions about upgrading existing infrastructure to withstand seismic forces. Engineers and urban planners are considering retrofitting bridges, reinforcing buildings, and redesigning pipelines in anticipation of possible ground shaking. These efforts, while costly, may prove essential to safeguarding lives and property should the cracks foreshadow a larger rupture. Schools, hospitals, and emergency services located within the potential impact zone are being evaluated for seismic resilience. Simulation exercises are being planned to ensure readiness across sectors, from transportation and logistics to healthcare and communication. Though a massive quake might still be years away, or may never materialize at all, the red alert has injected a new sense of urgency into regional disaster planning. At the same time, the psychological impact on residents cannot be underestimated. Communities accustomed to viewing earthquakes as distant possibilities are now grappling with the sudden presence of invisible threats beneath their feet. Local leaders, educators, and media outlets are taking steps to inform the public without inciting panic, a delicate balance that is vital for maintaining trust and cooperation during uncertain times. The scientific community is also ramping up educational outreach, using the opportunity to teach about seismic science, tectonic processes, and risk mitigation. This renewed engagement may help foster a culture of preparedness that persists even if the current red alert eventually subsides. Globally, the situation is attracting attention from seismologists studying intraplate earthquakes, those that occur far from tectonic boundaries. The new Madrid Fault Zone serves as a rare and potent example of how powerful geological forces can lie dormant for centuries before suddenly manifesting. The recent crack formation adds a new layer to this complex and intriguing narrative, offering real-time insight into the reactivation of ancient tectonic systems. Crucially, this event reminds humanity of a sobering truth. Earth's surface is a patchwork of shifting plates, and stability is an illusion. Even in areas far removed from the roaring edges of tectonic collision, stress can build silently, biding its time. The new Madrid Fault Zone is a testament to this unpredictability. Its quiet past does not guarantee a quiet future. The seismic anomalies unfolding beneath the new Madrid Fault Zone are not just isolated geologic curiosities. They represent a paradigm shift in how scientists conceptualize risk within stable continental interiors. What is emerging is a recognition that even regions long considered tectonically quiet can harbor powerful pent-up energies. The recent formation of underground cracks has shattered illusions of long-term dormancy and brought forward the sobering realization that seismic systems can lie deceptively silent before awakening in dramatic fashion. The ramifications of this awakening are broad, spanning far beyond geology and touching sectors as diverse as logistics, national security, and environmental policy. In the midst of this evolving crisis, researchers are deploying new arrays of seismic and geodetic instruments across the Mississippi embayment to develop a more detailed map of stress fields beneath the Earth's crust. By measuring millimeter-scale deformations in the ground surface, these tools are helping to detect subtle shifts that may signal imminent movement. Scientists are especially interested in how these shifts correlate with fluid migration through rock layers, a phenomenon increasingly tied to fault behavior. As cracks develop and propagate, they may alter fluid pathways deep underground, influencing everything from groundwater reservoirs to the integrity of hydrocarbon storage sites. This scenario introduces an additional layer of vulnerability: potential interactions between seismic activity and critical energy infrastructure. Several petroleum pipelines and natural gas storage facilities are located within or near the affected region. If a major quake were to occur, the implications could include ruptured lines, hazardous leaks, and disruptions to energy supply chains that serve large portions of the Midwest and South. Mitigating such risks will require both technological reinforcement and strategic planning at federal and state levels. Equally troubling is the possible impact on freshwater systems. The Mississippi and Ohio River basins intersect with the broader seismic zone, and any upheaval of the land, especially one involving significant vertical displacement, could alter river courses, compromise levees, or lead to widespread flooding. Historical accounts from the early 19th century suggest that earthquakes in this region are capable of causing extensive hydrological anomalies, including the formation of temporary waterfalls, sand boils, and liquefaction zones that render land unusable. Given the centrality of these rivers to agriculture, commerce, and drinking water supplies, any such disturbance would reverberate across multiple societal layers. There's also growing concern about the fragility of regional transportation networks. The central U.S. relies heavily on rail lines, interstates, and inland ports that crisscross the potential impact area. Many of these structures were not engineered with major seismic stress in mind, especially older bridges and tunnels that form critical links between cities and states. A strong earthquake could render key logistics corridors inoperable for weeks or even months. This would not only hinder local economies, but also disrupt national supply chains that depend on goods moving through the heartland. Adding to the complexity is the issue of structural vulnerability in residential areas. Much of the housing stock within the zone, particularly in smaller towns and rural communities, consists of wood frame or brick structures built before modern seismic codes were enacted. These buildings are particularly susceptible to collapse during ground shaking. Unlike coastal regions that regularly drill for hurricanes or floods, many residents here have never experienced even a minor earthquake and are unprepared for the chaos such an event might bring. This lack of familiarity makes effective public communication all the more critical in the coming weeks and months. The psychological dimension of this red alert status cannot be overstated. Human behavior in the face of uncertain, low-probability, high-impact events is notoriously difficult to manage. While panic remains unlikely in the short term, the slow drip of ominous news, the emergence of cracks, swarms of microquakes, shifting ground, can begin to sow anxiety and mistrust. Emergency officials must navigate a careful path between encouraging vigilance and avoiding alarmism. This entails not only transparent communication from scientific authorities, but also grassroots efforts to involve schools, churches, and civic organizations in disaster preparedness. Educational initiatives are being reshaped in real time. Earth science curricula across the region are being updated to reflect the latest findings, and drills are being introduced in school systems that have never before practiced earthquake response. For younger generations, this represents an opportunity to internalize risk awareness as a normal part of life, much like tornado drills in the Midwest or hurricane preparations on the Gulf Coast. While the immediate risk remains uncertain, the habits built now could one day save lives. Technology is also playing a pivotal role in this new phase of monitoring and preparedness. Advances in artificial intelligence are being leveraged to interpret massive volumes of seismic data streaming in from field instruments. Algorithms can now detect minute tremors and stress indicators that would have gone unnoticed a decade ago. These systems allow for faster identification of evolving threats and provide real-time alerts to authorities. In combination with smartphone-based notification systems and emergency broadcast networks, communities are becoming more connected and responsive to geological signals. Yet even as science and technology advance, a degree of unpredictability remains. The Earth operates on timescales and under pressures that defy easy forecasting. The emergence of these deep cracks is akin to reading the early chapters of a mystery without knowing the ending. They are clues, but not conclusions. What they definitively show is that the new Madrid Fault Zone is once again active at a structural level, setting into motion processes that could culminate in a significant geologic event. Whether that event arrives in months, years, or decades is still uncertain, but its foundations are clearly forming now. In a region defined by flat expanses, rolling farmland, and meandering rivers, the idea of tectonic unrest feels alien, and yet, the very bedrock beneath this serene landscape is in flux. The newly discovered cracks beneath the new Madrid Fault Zone are more than geological features. They are warnings etched in stone. They demand not panic, but preparation. Not fear, but focus. The Earth is speaking. The challenge now is to listen, closely, carefully, and with the seriousness the situation demands. Among the more intriguing developments following the discovery of the subsurface cracks is the unexpected magnetic variation detected in the region. Magnetotelluric surveys, which measure electrical conductivity and magnetic field fluctuations underground, have picked up subtle anomalies corresponding with the newly fractured zones. These magnetic shifts could suggest dynamic movement of minerals or localized heating, phenomena often linked to strain energy release and impending seismic activity. While still under analysis, these signs further complicate the unfolding geological narrative. Simultaneously, long-term GPS stations scattered across the zone have reported fractional shifts in ground position that, although minute, deviate from long-term trends. These deviations, when mapped over time, illustrate a gradual, creeping distortion of the crust, as though vast subterranean forces are twisting the land ever so slowly. This creeping motion doesn't cause immediate destruction but signifies persistent tectonic loading. When coupled with the newly observed magnetic and microseismic indicators, it builds a compelling case for an active geodynamic system in transition. The data layers are converging toward one message. The new Madrid Fault Zone is no longer just a historic footnote. It is a present-day concern demanding unwavering scientific and civic attention. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, could you leave your comments below and tell us? What are your thoughts on the cracks under New Madrid? Will a major quake hit? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching and see you next time.